Alright, so I want to start straight away saying that for any offer that you're going to use, like to design an ad creative, it's not about fancy graphics. It's not about spending more on the ad itself to reach whatever you were planning to reach. It's about the clarity, the design psychology, and the visibility. Now, today, specifically, I was planning to show you how to do ads for free tryout offers that actually convert. And I'm also going to try to break down the why behind free tryout offers and the actual psychology behind it, the exact design formula that pretty much everyone uses, and how to steal inspiration and basically never run out of ideas. Okay, now, why free trial in the first place? As I said, I'm going to try to break it down. People seem to hesitate before committing to a gym, so a free trial basically removes the risk. The key here is to make the offer feel exclusive rather than it feeling like another freebie. An example would be, instead of just saying 3-day free pass, you can just say something like limited 3-day VIP pass. And that is just so much better in terms of scarcity and exclusivity. Let's come to the designing itself. As you can see, I have Photoshop opened on my screen right now. You don't need to specifically use Photoshop because it's not going to be that complicated. It's going to be really simple. And if you don't do the designing at all, you can just send this to your designer and they would understand everything. Now, the first thing that you want to do in terms of the ratio that you're going to be using, you want to be thinking what can fill the screen the most. Most people are using phones, so you want something that is longer. Now, in terms of pictures, there's two ratios that you can use here. Is either just the square ratio, which is 1:1, or you can use a ratio that is 4:5. I'm going to show you real quick how this looks. I don't have a template right now for that, but if we go by 4:5, it's going to look something like this. Something like this. So you can actually use this to design the creative. And now when we go over the inspiration side of things, you'll see how a lot of people are using this, and they're even using the format of the stories, which is, I believe, if I just write here 16:9, it would be that. Yes, this is the story format. I'm going to be doing my design breakdown on a 1:1 because it's just the most convenient for all placements. I have the stock image right here, okay? Because we work with fitness centers, so I might as well just get something that is related to fitness. Our offer is let's say 3-day tryout. Now, the first thing you want to work with is the elements. So we want text. You pick your font, which is your brand's font, obviously, and then let's just say 3-day free trial. Okay, when it comes to text, the way I like to see it is that on the creative itself, there's 3 pieces of text. You have the offer, you have the who this offer is for, or maybe just extra information about the offer, and the CTA, the call to action. The offer right here should be the most clear and the most visible. Now, this is a fairly good size. What I like to do, like in the most simple of formats possible, a bright red color behind the offer is always good. Now you can use another color, like branding color if you have, that can really emphasize and draw the viewer's eye onto the offer itself. We don't want this to be awkwardly placed, right? So maybe find a placement where it would look the best. Now, if there's no face here, or maybe like most of the action is happening here, I would put it in the upper thirds. Because of the situation we have right here, I'm going to put it in the lower thirds. Something like this. Or if you want to think about how the viewer looks from up to down, you can play around with this. Something like, let's say this. You make it 2-piece and make it shorter. So because it's shorter, you can kind of get away with putting it in the upper thirds, just like that. You can do some tricks here. If I make this bigger and I duplicate this element and then I select this and mask it, it will look like it's actually above the box itself, so it looks like it's part of the image. And you can actually also get away with something like this. Whatever you prefer, as long as it's not more complicated than this. Pretty much, if we want to talk about like add creatives, this is really enough. But we do want to add who this is for, more details, and we do want to add a call to action. Put more emphasis on the free. I mean, also, this really doesn't really matter. This is more of a design choice. But if you want people to draw their eyes to the red area and to the free, you can have different weights of font. Now, in terms of font weights, in each piece of text from the 3 pieces, the title, like the offer, the call to action, the more information, for each you can only use 2 weights, because any more than that is going to be very messy. So here we have like a medium weight to a bold weight. What I'm going to be doing is the second part of the 3-piece text layout, which is the more info, or the who this is for. Now let's just assume we're celebrating Women's Day. Actually, by the time I'm recording this, it's Women's Day. So let's just say something like celebrating Women's Day for a limited time only. Now, in terms of the text size, as I said, it goes by priority. So offer, info, and then call to action. The call to action has to be slightly smaller. Now, if you don't really have an eye of how you should be sizing this, a general rule of thumb is just to divide the size by the golden ratio. Now, to do that, you go to the sizing of the text and then you divide it by 1.618, and that should give you, by the golden ratio, a level under the current main title text size. So, as we said, celebrating Women's Day. Okay. Now this is behind the subject. We don't want that. And you might be noticing this could be hard to read in this area. There is a couple of very simple tricks I like to do. The first one would be is to add something I call a shadow effect. We grab a gradient and then we drag it from here until this area that we want is more visible. We stop. And then in terms of layers, of course, you don't want to cover this, so you put it under, just like that. And this is immediately more readable for anyone who wants to go through the details. And now I'm noticing that because we have this cutout and it's over the text, it kind of removes from the darkening that we just did. So if you want to go the extra step, you can grab a brush tool, grab the right size, make it a really soft brush, and brush out the area where there's text. Now you can just keep it like this, so it's like a shadow, but I personally prefer if we just go all the way and keep the highlight on the upper part. So this already looks very professional, although we only have 4 layers from the original image. We have the title, we have the subject cutout that we did, and then we added the shadow to actually add the information here. Celebrating Women's Day, if you want to add emphasis on Women's Day, that can also work with the bold weight. And then we basically continue from here. Limited time only. The placement, the length of the text, and everything depends on the offer itself. Now, another tip that I would give you in terms of the length of the lines or the length of each piece of text, I would recommend for each line, you don't have more than 3 to 4 words. Now, for example, the whole text here, we have 3 words. Here we have 2 lines. Each line has 3 words. Celebrating Women's Day, limited time only. If you're still afraid that people will find this too much to read through, you can add just spacing between everything. And just so it doesn't look like they're part of each other, you can move this slightly down, and boom. I'm gonna actually keep it here and remove the space because I do like how this looks. Okay, now for the third and last step, the call to action text. We have to keep in mind, in the ad itself, the actual action button will be under this picture. So we want to kind of have something that is pointing down. What I generally like to do is just as simple as arrows here and then a text saying maybe sign up now. I'm going to be doing this real quick. I'm going to grab this text. You're going to do the same thing here. The golden ratio resizing. Sign up now. Now, of course, you don't need to strictly do this ratio because This might look too small for people. It's okay, but I'm going to actually resize it back to how it was because I feel like it would be fine. And here in Photoshop, if you want to center it, you can just go to here, Canvas, align to Canvas, and press on this one. Okay. Sign up now. You can add arrows here, as I said. I do have a template when I use with other clients, but I'm just going to do a quick one right now. I'm going to grab a line, give it some stroke. You do want to have it to kind of be the same weight or like similar to the bold weight. We don't want to have a lot of weights going around because if this was too thick, it will look out of place. Now I did add this line because I want to add the actual arrow itself. There could be a better way to do this, but this is good enough for now. Okay, you want to align it with the line. You can grab these two, group them, or make them one object, and then you can mirror this. And boom. Sign up now. Now this is pretty much the final product, but I do want to add one last thing. The branding. Other than the color, there's also the logo. When you have the placement itself, the actual name of your business will show up above the picture itself, but it's always safe to keep a strong branding, and in this case, you would have a picture, like a PNG picture of your logo, but I'm just gonna put a placement for now. Logo here, for example, and we move this in one of the corners. Here would be better. Now if you have a white logo, replace it with a black one maybe, depending on the background. If it's still not visible, we can do the same trick we did with the gradient here, this one. But instead of doing a whole gradient for this side, we can just grab a soft brush tool and just basically let's make the proper size. We want to cover this area right here, so we make it a big size here. We put it under everything, of course, just we want to only darken the area of this image, not darken everything else. And then we can bring this back to white. Here we go. This is a really solid ad. Professional, clean, nothing too fancy. Again, if we want to go back to how it looked like before, after, I do want to mention, if you would like to have a full ad setup done for your fitness business, you can hit me up on my DMs. Right now, I'll leave a link down below, and we can book a free strategy call, going over everything you might need and just basically see if we can be a good fit for each other. In terms of inspiration, the top one tool, or I should say website for that, is actually just go to the Meta Ads library. Now, when you enter the library, you will have to select your location, then you select all ads, and then the keyword, maybe now when you enter the website, you will have to select your location. For this example, I have United States, all ads, and then the keyword, what your business is. In our case, I put the keyword fitness. And one more step that you can do to make sure that the ads that you're looking at are actually performing. You want to make sure you're looking at active ads that are at least 1 month old. Because if it's been on for more than a month, that means it's working for that business. Something else you want to be on a lookout for. If you see the name consistently every time you look into the ads library, you do want to save their name, because let's just say you're looking through their ads from a month ago, 3 months ago, maybe even a year ago, and you just keep seeing them pop up, and then they actually have ads that are still active right now. That means these guys know what they're doing. Right here, I have the date for anything on or before 28th of Feb 2025. As you can see here, the first that we have is F45, which is a very famous gym. Now, if we look at their ads, they have around, okay, this is all their ads. They have like 8 ads, all different. They're using videos and pictures. Let's take a look at one of the pictures. Okay, if we see ad details, you can look at the copy if you really need to have some sort of way to build your own copy and see the template. And this is the creative. They have the logo. They're calling out who this is for, the offer itself, and just extra information. Now, in this case, they didn't put CTA, but I think it's pretty clear what this is for. And as I said before, the action button itself will be under the ad itself. One of the examples, let's take a look at another example. Another call out, the offer itself, the logo. They use the same shadow here to make this more visible. The extra information, again, no call to action, but very clear. You can play around with the template. What I gave you is just a general form of how you should be looking at designing the ad very simply. Here also, you can look at the copy. I think they're using the same copy for everything, but no, actually here, there's different form, but it's generally good to have different copies so Meta keeps testing between these creatives. We have a video here. We have another picture here, which is very similar to the format of this, just using another picture, maybe just to show the environment of the place itself. This is a good point, by the way. Whenever you're choosing a picture, you do want to choose a picture that is related to whoever you are, your business, or maybe to the offer itself. So they made it pretty clear that this is a gym. Again, you can look at the creative, same everything. They changed here for everybody, every level. Just minor changes. Everything is pretty much the same. So don't overcomplicate designing a creative. This is another example, mode of fitness. Don't overcomplicate the creative. It's really simple. Logo, who this is for, the offer. Sometimes you can put the call to action. And in terms of the other things like the copies, maybe I can make another video on this, but again, if you're on the ads library and if you're using tools like maybe ChatGPT for your copywriting, or you have someone to do the copywriting, you can give all this information to them. And yeah, this is pretty much what I have for you today. If you'd like to have another design breakdown or a breakdown of anything that I mentioned in this video, leave a comment down below and I would love to go over everything. And yeah, I'll see you in the next video.